It's been 9 years since our little moment on the school rooftop. No, not actually. But God, I feel like it sometimes. I couldn't recall the times, man, I wish I didn't have to sleep so I could stay up all night and watch movies and play music or some crap. I feel like you should probably rephrase that, man. I couldn't recall the times, or whatever, younger me wished I could do. I don't even think that sentence makes sense, because it's I couldn't recall all the times younger me wished I could do. I mean, I guess it is an interrupted sentence by other crap, so. Turns out, never needing to sleep can really absolutely suck if you have nothing to fill the time with. Yeah. I barely have been mentally there for the first few days after appearing at the graveyard. With the regular meltdowns and panic attacks, but after the incident on the school rooftop, I've been managing, to put it lightly. I kept to my promise. He'd sleep for a few hours on the roof, and then he finally came to. He headed up and immediately crashed again. Never to make sure he kept sleeping and didn't get strung out enough to contemplate jumping off a roof or something else. He already did. I opted to seclude myself in the bathroom. Like, the way you were phrasing that implies that he didn't already do that. Like, shouldn't you say something like, again? I feel like that would be fresh in your mind, buddy. I'm like, God, was it boring. I couldn't sleep. Just barely let my brain disassociate and turn things off. As far as I could tell, it was like in the moment without any means of escape. So you can't drift off or like, yeah. That's just mean, man. Just hang out the window and watch fucking time go by. You can go through walls. Just sit outside and watch the stars. Watch fucking shit happen out in Skin Row. I guess whatever fucker consigned me to this fate figured that'd be a little extra bit of sprinkle on top of the shit Sunday. That's not Sunday. It's AE, if I recall correctly. That was now my life, afterlife. After he arrived back after. Jesus, my man. You didn't just not proofread this. You just wrote whatever word came next in your brain like predictive text and kept it at that. I tried to help him shuffle to bed, but to my dismay, trying to pull his arm didn't take. It kept slipping through his body. I could feel resistance, but it didn't stop contact. I'm going to pause a lot more when he didn't see what was hanging by a thread. I feel like what you're really trying to say is, and then the next morning came, or something else happens. The day followed was a quiet one, and he spent most of it in bed. So I got his phone, tossing and turning. And I toss, and I turn. Toss, toss, turn, turn, toss, 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 turn, 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 toss, turn, toss, turn, toss, toss, turn, 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 turn. Eventually he got up, microwaved some sad little prepackaged meal and ate it. And I played games for a while until he fell asleep against the bed. Hey, you just didn't say anything? You were just like, eh. I'm bored out of my goddamn gourd. I'm just gonna be right over here and I'm just bored. I don't get this. Shouldn't you be like, hey, Anna, you want to talk yet? And he'd be like, nah. I before retreated to the back and risk waking him up, but only managed a few more hours of waiting before I started to get stir crazy. I risked coming back up. Thankfully, he stayed completely checked out. Though I could see, given the position of his ass on the floor, and rolled back on the mattress, let's get to bed. He's seriously gonna regret sleeping like, oh, God damn it. Why would you call him checked out? Checked out is like you're zoned out, not like you're sleeping. Zonked out is what I would say. But I don't like the word zonk. I contemplated waking him up so he could at least crawl back into bed, but decided against it. If I startled him awake, who knew when he would go back to sleep again? On the roof, I'd shown that I could interact with him. I found out the next day or so. Gee, we're just fucking skipping to the next day or so? Aren't we like in the next day? What day are we on? Why are we being this vague about everything? It was like I could magically just touch him. I used like before. Wait. We found out over the next day or so. Why is it or so? Why can't it just be the next day? That it wasn't like I could magically touch him like how I used to before I was a dumb ghost. That's a really weird way to phrase that. Of course you could touch him before you were a ghost. That's... There was something to this whole thing that we still didn't understand. Which is that the rules are going to be dumb, and I'm going to hate them. Because they're not actually conducive to interesting storytelling, because these writers never think about that stuff. And if he does, well, points to you, buddy. I'll say it. Like, the whole Soul Tether thing is already kind of because if Fang's not going to be a continuous annoyance, that doesn't work. It's like, She can go through a wall. You can jerk off and jerk out. You know, be a little asshole on the internet and pull your penis. So I milled around the apartment, stepping as lightly as my big fucking boots could manage. Why would you make footsteps if you can't interact with the world? Like, your voice makes sense because that's something you want, but it was totally bizarre because I was a ghost. I could face through Anon. go through entire walls to pull me through with tether shit. But sometimes when I was walking on the floor of the floorboards with creak, that's because you're a spooky ghost. You got spooky ghost rules. Made no goddamn sense, other than the fact that it happens in movies and totally BS. I think that's the reason, right? I would love it if like everything that happens is because Fang is convinced that that's how ghosts work, and that's how ghosts works. And they go to a medium, he's like, bitch, you do know that the reason that shit happens is because ghosts convince themselves that's how it's supposed to happen, so they make it happen anyway. Just like how Fang really wanted to stop Anon. It's like, you know. Anytime they creaked, I'd snap my head over to make sure he hadn't woken up yet. Thankfully, whatever wall had been preventing him from getting any sleep had been shattered, because the poor idiot was out. I mean, you know, he's probably dead tired after several days of staying up. So I tried to occupy myself. Glancing around, I frowned. That's such a weird way to say it. Why don't you say you glanced around with a frown? Why is it like I was glancing around and at some point I decided to frown? It's so weird. And I didn't have much of shit. It didn't have much of anything, really. Realization. I feel like this doesn't work. You need to have this up here with, like, ellipses to indicate that it's an interruption. Because now it's like a sentence here just saying anything really on its own. The realization... Like, new sentence would also work. New line. The realization of that sentence been a guilt? Giddy? Pity? It was hard to place. Whatever it was, it had gone through me pretty hard. It made my heart clench. I've been to this place a few times over the past few months. First when he fell down the stairs. A time or two when we were dating. I didn't want to deal with my home shit anymore. The night of prom. I think the one time before through this handful of times of his, I never really took in how, you know, his house. Maybe that was because the answer was... I was talking about how little they had to work with. Maybe that was because the answer was just about zero. It has this big dresser, closet, entertainment center. It's more like a wardrobe than a dresser. Just so shorter to me. Entertainment center installation piece. On the main wall across from his bed. How's that the main wall? You don't decide that. It's Anon's decoration privileges. Privilege. His bed that I was pretty sure was made out of cinder blocks and a desk. Beyond that, a bare-bones kitchen and the bathroom. I stayed in a hotel some more offerings than this back when I got on vacations with my family. I remember him mentioning something, he wasn't well off, but God, Anon, I never really thought you were... No, weren't you, like, explicitly surprised that he had a lunch card? Like, I feel like you should have figured this one out, and you're just being a little bitch about it. You're like, oh no, he told me about his lunch card, which is totally something completely normal people should have. And then when he dropped everything on me on the worst, after the worst time, I was so blind with rage and just platitude. He was Anon, stop saying me. It gets better. It's not helping. In the moment, it doesn't help, at least. I felt bad, because he clearly didn't know much. Definitely wasn't getting a safety deposit after all this. Did you damage his room? Because, like, if it's just the furniture, I'm pretty sure it's fine. But, like, goddamn, Anon. Could you just have the worst timing on things? Where's that have to melt out of that? Have you not noticed that he's a fucking idiot? This man tried to throw himself off a roof, and you're surprised that he's stupid? This man stayed up for, like, a week, because he was haunted by I don't know what to tell you, Fang. I feel like you are the problem in this as much as everyone else, which is nice. Because we're really slamming on Anon a bit here. Which doesn't happen enough, because most people use Anon's POV, and Anon should be oblivious to his failures when he's a bad person. I huffed as quietly as my heated head allowed before pushing my fingers to my temples. Alright, just relax. He's an idiot. Why was he an idiot? He's not dead. But he's still the only one that actually cared. I could acknowledge that smashing half the shit up he owned was pretty rude. I'd have to find a chance to apologize for that, at least. He is probably happy I managed to avoid smashing his game console and computer, at least. He's certainly been using it enough for the last few days. Wasn't he, like, fucked up and sleepless? Like, what? Didn't you show up, like, a day ago? I mean, he was gaming the last day, but before then what? I don't even know, man. We talked sparingly, but it was easy to tell that even if we both understood, he shouldn't off himself. Things were still awkward. It was tense. I mean, listen, suicide attempts are serious business, man. I like how you're talking about this, like, oh man, you know, things should be fun. Like, you're a ghost, and on a sleep deprived and fucked up, and you just saw your boyfriend try to kill himself. Why are you pretending things are normal at all? Are you just incapable of understanding the situation is fucked? I didn't really know what to do except try to give him more room to breathe. Federico, listen, so many people misinterpret support as like just give people space. It's like, no, man. You can support people by giving them tips and tricks and helping out physically by carrying some of their burdens temporarily. Giving them space to breathe sometimes means doing shit for them so they can focus. It's like, okay, listen, I'll do the garbage today. You don't worry about the chores. I'll take care of the chores. So you can focus on yourself, okay? That's a nice gesture. That's good support. You're not solving the problem for them, but you're making it easier to solve. Why do so many fucking people not get that? That's what support is, you dumb fucks. Let out a groan and walked over, flinching once again at the creaky floorboard. Seriously, how the hell does that work? Stop this. And sat down next to him, watching him die over and over again on the screen. Oh, yeah, because his controller's just in his hands. And oh no, why is it restarting? Should it put you in like a little restart window? Couldn't play it, couldn't disturb Anna, couldn't mess with his phone or computer, couldn't go on a walk. Really. I had nothing else to do until there was, well, something to do. That's a really weird way of doing this. There's a new line and then a fucking little dash, little M dash in the middle. No, it's not an M dash, it's a short hyphen. I was sitting in the center of the floor, staring at the wall behind my bed, pencil low and a notebook in the other. Oh god, we're doing this fucking thing. So now they're gonna try to figure out what the fuck's going on, and I don't like that. I get that for Anon it makes sense that he would try to be a little experimental little baby, because he's like, I want to figure it out. And Fang would want to figure it out, because Fang is like, man, I want to know what I can actually get away with him. It's like anything bad was going to happen. Probably. But all the same, I couldn't help but feel a slight flutter of anticipation in my body. They've been like this for almost 2 weeks now. Jesus Christ, you're just fast-forwarding through 2 weeks of ghosts? Haven't you talked about anything yet? I feel like you should get to talking. One of us would get the idea to try and test out something of a ghost powers. I'd draft up some ideas and notes in my very scientific Spirebound notebook, and then we'd run tests. I've been told that apparently the color of science notebooks is green. Science is green for biology, purple for physics and chemistry. So I guess this would be purple, because ghosts do not have biology. That's the thing Fang said she wasn't interested in science. Bah. A moment later, a muffled Fang goes on the other side of the wall. She reappeared. You know, like, just like no clipping all over the place. So, same sensation regardless of distance all the way up to the end of the death. Why is she so fucking specific about this? Everyone's being so flippant. I feel like a few days later you'd just be a little shit about it. I scribbled down the notes. When I finished, I began scanning back over the papers in front of me. Things between us had been rough, to say the least. She'd unloaded on me on the rooftop, which I certainly say was deserved, and had given me a lot to chew on. Going literally insane from sleep deprivation or not. It was absolutely a shitty thing to even contemplate throwing yourself off. Anna, you were literally in a state of mind where you could... Do you not know what insanity is? Or what, like, you know, a mental break is, Anna? Yes, it's a shitty thing to do, but you were literally in no condition to consider that. I know it's from first-hand experience, and my brain still went there. Not the best part. I mean, it's probably because it's like, oh no, I'm haunted by my ghost. I would rather not. Like, I feel there's a justifiable position of like, if I have to live with Fang just hovering 5 feet behind me the whole damn time for the rest of my life, it requires some consideration. Considering you weren't that good, like if it's your wife, you know, like your wife or your husband who you've loved forever, and you're like perfect marriage and everything, then yeah, sure, that's great. But if you're in a messy relationship, it's like, do I want this? Can I live with this? I actually feel superior to Fang before, and it certainly was a feeling after that, that's for sure. Wasn't any better after that, that's for sure. But you didn't do it. Fang did it, though. Fang killed several people and jumped off a roof. You didn't do either. You proved that you were the better man. Ironically, you're wrong. Still, she went out of her way for the first while to give me accommodations. She camped out of the bathroom so I could sleep. Although having her there during the shower felt weird. I told her to leave, but she's like, no, I gotta hide it so I can be different. I'm like, man... Though I was certain she came out and moved around when I finally crashed. That was a problem. But for the first days after the... Why are we recalling events that Fang just recalled? He was clearly walking the eggshells around. Again, if you're going to switch POVs, don't just repeat things we already know, unless you're going to introduce some new sexy information. Trying to be unobtrusive, not overly loud or aggressive. A challenge for her, no doubt. On the other hand, it felt like I was being looked down upon again. I know, it was nice to think of you. This is not supporting. This is just general consideration and being polite. This is respect. This is not support. A slight pang of bitterness flashed at me. This weekly stabbed down. But it does make sense, because Fang is very crass with Anon in ending one. As I got more regular sleep, even if it was for me basically occupying my mind's busy work, doing really important things like video shitposting until I got exhausted. Really a way to describe the things, the two things you still do with your life. My mind was less prone to spiraling, and sleep became easier depressing me. I like how we're just skipping over this man's depression. I had chronic depression, but I got better. How? Just got better. After day 4 or 5, she didn't even need to hide out in the bathroom anymore. Started leaving the TV on for her. I noticed when the TV was comfortable enough environment, whom I subconscious that it masked the sign of her moving around without making me up. I'd fallen asleep in front of the screen a lot over the years, so the glow... so masking the glow she put out, or covering up for the small noises she made it all easier. As I got better isn't quite the right word. I like how we are just fucking actually skipping on the actual story here. This is so dumb. This is so poorly written in terms of, like, understanding the interesting parts of the story. Man, I'm about to fucking laugh, man. I'm about to laugh my ass off at this shit. It's not the worst, right? I feel like there's a lot of verbiage problems, and, like, at least it's not fucking stuff up, which is a low bar to set, but we've gotten to the point where I'm like, you're not actively making huge mistakes, and I'm not that upset about the stuff you're not writing about, but, like, come on, man. You could do better. This is a C+. I'm not... You didn't make the teacher want to kill themselves. That's a C in this class. That's how disappointed I am in my students. But as I stopped feeling like I lost my damn mind, interactions became more comfortable, too. It started with the occasional quip. You already have been fucking sassy as hell. But not to each other, I guess. Oh, am I playing? She hadn't really seen me do it much before. I mean, outside of occasionally playing with Trish and Reed back in the day. It was only something that was in her wheelhouse. I mean, prom night. But a few times she came over. So I was curious she wanted to watch me play classics like Rock Ring and provide commentary. Just fucking record yourself already. See if Fang's voice shows up on the recording. It'd be great. The snarky observations of some cheesier portions of the story. Even would occasionally eke out a chuckle out of me. Which I had to admit surprised me. After everything that happened, I really didn't expect I'd ever laugh again. Gonna make things almost feel like normal. I like how you're just having fun times with your girlfriend. You're just like, you're leaving Nasser behind? That man's dead. Nasser's dead. He cared for you. He tried to help. And you're just like, it's fine. Nasser's dead. But she's back. That's all I care about. I love that. It's so dumb. And with that normalcy come less stressful interactions. That's what you literally just said. If I wasn't feeling okay, I think I'd overthink again. If I had a snowball chance in hell of avoiding a shrink, they'd probably just stick needles in my brain and pump it full of happy drugs before I fucked up. Yes! They'd probably do that because it really does sound like your brain chemistry is fucked up. Which obviously wasn't okay with her. I mean, the obvious fact that she was dead aside. Listen, she got better, okay? It was the small things I noticed. But she managed to eke out a chuckle out of me by pointing out how absolutely retarded Master Grog was to try and punch a giant boulder near the end of the game to stop a volcano. That's not Rock Ring, man. That's House of Evil. Killing all life on Earth. I just took a look at it in the face. Smile faded almost immediately because, you know, you're not smiling, man. You're just being a little shit. Whatever small moments of mirth we were having were equally fleeting on both sides. And that was the status quo for a week further until she asked a simple question. How the hell do I make the floorboards kick if I can't touch anything else? It was simple, but damn, it didn't get my brain spinning. She was right. She clearly couldn't interact with a physical object, unless she managed to grab my jacket and damn near throw me back from the edge. A lank little nerd, that was a pretty good amount of mass to move. But it seemed like she had a hard time, even pushing a rainbow across my desk. It was weird, it was inconsistent, and I made me curious. She wasn't going anywhere, nothing indicated she was. And if I wasn't going anywhere, I wanted to experiment a little. I feel like you should include a second interruption that's like, and nothing indicated she was, and if I wasn't going anywhere, and hell if I ever would. You know, something like, I feel like making the double would be great, that'd be cute. Also, the thought went. Okay, so all of this, right? Where were we? All of this is like just to establish, oh, and then we decided to experiment instead of just, that's not that important, I feel. I feel like you could just say you got bored as hell and nobody was going anywhere. Like, this is really the line. It's so weird. It's so weird how it, like, basically does this massive explanation, and then it just uses the summary anyway. Okay, the notebooks and pencils. Like, you can just make it the floorboards, and then she goes, you know what, we got the time. You don't need much more, because these characters are, like, bored out of their gourd, and they're trying to recover, so they might as well spend their recovery time with something. Especially since Anon just spent his recovery time being bored out of his gourd. Out came the notebooks and pencils. Leftovers from my brief tenure at Volcano High. I may not have seen Professor Farnsworth's class at the end, but he had on to turn to dust somewhere by virtue of being horrifically ancient. You'd probably be proud of mentioning the scientific method. I don't know if you actually use the scientific method, because that's a bit more expansive than just trying shit. What you're doing is forming a hypothesis, and like, you're doing like really low-level qualitative research. And so over the next day, we meet ourselves with a new occupation, ghost experimentation. That was a riveting title, but inaccurate. Ghost experimentation isn't exciting? You're experimenting with ghosts? Jesus Christ, man, if that's not exciting, you're a fucking loser. Your bar is so high. We spitballed some things to try and test out, and how we might test them, and I jotted them down on a notepad. Bang laughed at me first when I counted back with Mr. Savage himself. Kids, science is screwing around, I was writing it down. Mr. Savage? Bill Nye the Science Guy? Why would he be Mr. Savage? I mean, she still laughed after what I said. After I said that too, but she relented on that point. Ugh, what are you talking about? We'd run an experiment, she'd do a thing, I'd take notes. We could do some further ideas and permutations of it, or just screw around for a bit. In case any other ideas came to us. Just watch some ghost movies, man. Why aren't you watching ghost movies to get ideas? Looking over the page, we've run a pretty solid amount of tests so far, even just the past couple of days. Testing the maximum range of how far she could get from me was the first one. She called it the tether. You just got that from Two Souls, man. Hold up. I'm pretty sure Two Souls uses that fucking term. Don't use that term. I would sooner call him an anchor, because there's no, like, line. They just call him a fucking... Oh, yeah, it's beyond Two Souls. Excuse me. With Willem Dafoe as the bad guy. I think they call it tether. Maybe I'm just stupid. No easy way to check that either, because you can't just search the script. Oh well. But I really do feel like, you know, don't make me think of Beyond Two Souls, buddy. I feel like it makes more sense to call him an anchor, since you can't leave too far from him, like, you know, an anchor is made to do. A tether implies that they're tied together, and there's some slack, or one can control, both can control. It goes both ways. But if it's an anchor, it's one way. I suggested leash, but she saw that idea out with a nasty sneer, which, in hindsight, sounded enough. Having your dead girlfriend's ghost on a leash did sound kind of weird. That is an anon moment you should just write out for funsies. You should just have an omnibus of, like, small encounters over the next few days, if you're going to be like that. And then we get the vibe by interpreting and extrapolating. Anyways, it ended up being almost 20 feet exactly, in a radius out from where I was. And the distance seemed pretty consistent, even if she was down on the ground floor and I was the next one up. That was nice that it was predictable, at least. You know, it's weird. She mentioned that she was trying to go up to a higher floor. It felt like there was an invisible ceiling. What if it's like some spiritual bungee rope? Man, that's an awful way to think. Why is that an awful way to think? That describes it, doesn't it? Like... I mean, I guess it's because she fell down a roof, but that's a bit of a stretch. Just like a bungee rope. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's bad presentation. You should not deliver your jokes at monotone. After that was testing out physical interactions. We found she could interact with objects, including me, but it didn't seem like she could for long. She could push small things around and poke me. But it would get tired, for lack of a better word. She never felt the sensation of exhaustion, but all the same, she thought she could move a thing or two before she was tapped out for a while. She's a spooky ghost. She's got little baby poltergeist powers. To let it be for a bit, she can move stuff again. I joked about her taking naps, but that one fell flat, and when she pointed out she literally couldn't go to sleep, I didn't feel tired. Couldn't even zone out, which feels weird. Some other small things, like her heart clenching and stuff, like, clearly, she should be able to zone out. Because I don't see why between that there's a gap. I went into the notes. Today we're messing around with her going through walls. She couldn't go through the floors interestingly enough. Those were apparently solid enough for her. Solid to her as they were for me. But she could clip through walls easily if she wanted to. I feel if it's just like she's afraid she'll fall through the planet. And as far as we could tell, it didn't make her die to do it, which is weird. That's just weird. Actually, it isn't, because going through walls is not a physical interaction, whereas moving stuff is. So why would it make her tired? Wasn't especially useful information. It was at least good to know that she couldn't get herself trapped on the other side of a wall from me. She gets smashed. I revoked my attention just in time to have a crumpled ball paper to the face. Hey! Says you're right for ignoring me. She sniffed back. I could tell it was mostly in jest. Well, maybe I'm feeling tired and need a nap right now. In which case, I'm gonna need to shut it. I feel like antagonizing a person who does not need to sleep and can just stay up forever to keep you up forever is like a bad idea, but you aren't the man of smart long-term decisions anyway. I fired back, feeling this barest hint of a smile pulling on my face. My wordplay definitely suffered since prom. Something I need to practice up to where I was. I wasn't any good at shitpost to get away. My game was as weak as it was. As it ever was, you mean. As it ever could be. Before Frank returned back into a little banter session, you just went back and forth once. A loud thought shooking my bells again, supposing we're both to flinch. Why are you so loud? I swear to God, I don't shut the fuck up. Some of I think they know I go skinny ass is right. Man, fuck you, total asshole. I swear anytime he raises a voice over my farts, he starts whining like a bitch. Oh wait, that's her. No. I mean, it's not all bad. I commented lamely, letting my shoulders droop. Sometimes he's not out, and I can actually enjoy myself. I feel like you should just buy some headphones, man. Get some cheap ones. You can get those things for like a penny. At a Goodwill, they got like a whole basket full of them nowadays. because everyone gets them for free with their fucking phones. She let out an amused snort before her eyes opened slightly wider. Her eyes scanned down to the crumpled up ball paper between the two of us, and she looked at the wall. I could practically hear the wheels spinning in her head, and after a brief moment, her rather wicked smile began to pull Libby. Fang, please don't haunt my house! I get that you can haunt him and it'd be fucking funny as hell. But am I getting in legal trouble? I feel like I could get in legal trouble for being haunted. I had an idea of what she was thinking. And while I didn't imagine anything she figured out how to do in Jerry's apartment would trace back to me. It'd be a hell of a thing for him to try and pin on. Jesus, that's so poorly written. I didn't need him wailing like a bitch on the other side of the wall either. Her eyes flicked back on me, and her head still pointed at the wall. I could see the mischievous plan forming in her head. She opened her mouth to say something, no doubt trying to sell me on whatever hilarious scheme she wanted to get going. Well, we both were thrown off by the phone ringing. Once again, we both flinched at the unexpected sound. I hadn't had a call in, I think before prom. I think I might stay in the hospital since I was discharged. So, not even your insurance company or your lack of insurance company. I feel like someone would have called you about your loan or whatever. Or like the mayor. Which, of course, meant that the ring was set to full volume. Somebody got shooting through the wall again. Jerry was clearly already his favorite stick shoved firmly up his ass for the day. Scrambled and swiped it off the desk. There's the power on the side of the ring. I find myself questioning one important thing. Why is your phone charged? I feel like he would let it lapse and just sit behind your TV. Because if you're not using your phone... Because you have a computer, right? If he has a computer, why doesn't he just use his computer? And his phone is for outside, and he doesn't go outside much. And not a number I recognized. Not that I have many of those, but still. How would you recognize anyone's number? You've been called like a few times over the whole series as far as we can tell. And have nobody's number in your phone except Fang, maybe. I shot a glance at Fang, who simply shrugged. That accepted the call. Maybe it was a spammer. It was very common these days. Pretty sure everyone gets a spam call every day nowadays. Maybe I'd tell the guy on there that I was being murdered in Skin Row and he'd help to. Oh god, I see where this is going. I stole a quick look at Fang again. He's already turned attention to my open notebook. Hold on, let's turn this up to get a little goofier. Yeah, this'll do. This is good enough for right now to shake things up a little bit, just a smidge. I said, well, fuck off would suffice. Hello? Good morning. Came an overly stupid voice that I recognized. Am I speaking to a... Oh god, here it comes. Anon Moose? It is Anon Moose. Sighed. To my side, I heard a snickering sound. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Fang could put their ear in the whole phone, so yeah. Who clearly overheard the butchering of my name and had her hands over her beak trying to stifle the laughter. Even if I was the only one who could hear it. Moose, and yes, that's me. I apologize, I'm calling from Volcadera Hospital to remind you of an appointment at 11 a.m. today to have your cast removed. I'm sure that was today? It's stuck on me faster than I thought. Totally slipped my mind. Yeah, right. Yeah, 11 a.m. Oh, man. Excellent. Please be sure to arrive 20 minutes before your appointment to hand out the paperwork we may need. We'll see you then. Oh, we might get Ruby back into this, because Ruby showed up, right? We had the nurse? Yeah, see you then. With that, the lady on the other side ended the call. You're getting your cast off? I dropped my phone on my desk to turn my attention to the Phantom Tarot, who's staring at me, eyes, brows raised, and head slightly tilted. Yeah, most likely. I think they need to do some extra checks or whatever. But apparently I heal pretty quick. So even though my leg got a pause, the thrum of pain in the middle of my shin, Fang's brows furrowed before she looked away from me. I feel like just having Fang turn away says it all. Just leave it up to my imagination a little bit. Come on, I know what you're trying to do. Anyways, even though it was kind of bad, apparently the docs did a good job putting me back together. I mean, it was one bullet wound, man, and you fell over. Like, you weren't like walking through the woods for an hour on a bad leg. You know, it's not that bad. Also, she might have missed the bone, or I mean, I guess she hit the bone because that's a cast and everything. I guess that tracks. She only died for like 2 days when we made out with that bollard. Yeah, kind of like that. I got my last checkup just before I got discharged, and we set up the final vote for today, so if nothing is wrong, I guess it gets taken off. That's good, right? I couldn't tell if it was directing me over at it herself. Definitely looking forward to getting this thing off! I raised my left leg a little to emphasize my heavily casted foot. Want me to try and use a pen to sign it? Fang said, with actual humor shining through that time. I didn't really care that much, but something told me it'd be mean It mean a bit to her, so why not? Sure, give it a shot. I'll make notes about it later. Settled the bag and rolled up my jeans to give more access to give access to a bit more real estate with the cast. Why not just give more access or more real estate? Why do you have to use both? Fang nodded and reached for my pencil. It wouldn't stay on the cast. Well, in theory, it would be off in a few hours anyway, so it didn't matter. Maybe it wouldn't be nearly as embarrassing at the docks if I showed up with at least one well-wisher who's having signed my cast. Even if it was the girl that put me in the first place and was actually dead. Yeah, I got my dead girlfriend to sign it. I watched Fang's fingers pinch on the writing implement. With a look of concentration, trying to gauge the feel and pressure of it, to not simply go through it. She squeezed just after begin lifting into the air. Still weird to see. Her tongue slipped out of her lips with a focused intensity on the task in her literal hand. That was at hand. And I couldn't help but find the sight a bit endearing. What to write? She tapped the tip of the graphite to the cast. A beat later, that same mischievous grin worked into her face. I swear to Christ, Fag, if you draw a dick on my cast, I'm taking you to church. Fang, I can't go into church. Well, we all know why that is. You wrote a dick on my cast. Everyone knows that's Jesus' big no-no. Murder, that's fine. Dicks on cast, that's where he draws the line. It's a really weird line. It's like a really weird loop-de-loop. Oh, come on. It won't be anywhere near that bad. The look of concentration returned. She pressed the pencil onto the cast surface. She no doubt began a fantastic piece of art when it slipped through and glanced to the floor. Fuck. She tried to grab it again, but it was no use. Tired herself out before she could actually commit to the canvas. The cast, in this case. Frustration clearly began to overtake as she grabbed the pencil with more fury. As she tried to grab the pencil more fury. Hey! I mean, it does feel, you know, like the kind of thing that would get you after all this. Virtual terror wasn't something I need to see in my lifetime again, if I could avoid it. Ghost or not, I would probably not survive the second exposure. She could probably lift a knife enough to stab you. What? She snapped at me. Attention and frustration shifted from the object to me in an instant. I feel like that in an instant is kind of superfluous here. I was a better target for it anyway, because I could go, It's alright, rather the juice or whatever. The point doesn't let a few hours or whatever, we relax for a bit and give another shot before we leave. Fang's pupils, which shrunk down right tightly, began to dilate back to a normal level as she cooled off. Shit. Sorry, I know it's not big of a deal, but it's so goddamn hard to just use a pencil. But the fact it's so goddamn hard, whatever, man. I slid off the bed and onto the floor in front of her. It's cool. This whole situation sucks, I get that. I know you said you can't sleep, but could you lay on the bed? It's probably more comfortable than the floor. I was planning on killing time with games anyway. Not like I can really feel how nice your awful mattress is, but sure, why not? Not like I'll screw my bag or anything. I like how you can go through objects and walls, but you can't go through the fucking floor. Like, how would you sit on the bed? Is it just vertically oriented surfaces with a normal pointed upwards that count? Can you go up slopes? At what point does a slope become a wall? Is it your interpretation? I feel like that's just the best answer to everything. It's just whatever Fang feels is the matter. But Fang can't change their mind on this. Because, like, the point is, Fang can do whatever Fang feels like she should be able to do. And because of that, Fang can never prove themselves wrong. If they try to do something different, they can't do it. Like, they need to get that fucking Nirvana training. Clear their head and everything. We're a third of through, huh? Oh, your leg. I quit before. Jesus. Fat. Nice one. Without a word, she just got up, climbed up to my bed, and shimmied close to the wall facing away from me. How can you have PTSD as a ghost? That just feels silly. It just feels silly. I sat there for a moment, just looking. It was a starkly familiar scene reminding me of after prom, because clearly neither of us actually got any better at this. Things were almost okay before I opened my stupid mouth about it. I mean, way to go, Moose, you really are champions. Well, there's no one left for her to kill, so hey. One of these days I'll figure out how to keep my mouth shut. Maybe get the doctor to shoe it closed. Well, we stopped in for the cast. Well, great. I'm gonna go eat something, because I need some glucose or whatever you call it. Whatever the cool kids call it these days.